All right, right quick here before the video starts. I just thought I'd let y'all know the audio in this video is scuffed as absolute hell. I'm sorry, I was trying a different recording setup, which I don't mind. I will probably continue with that recording setup, but I was also testing a different microphone. I was using my Bluetooth headphones, and honestly, I don't like the way that it turned out, so uh, sorry about that. Hopefully, next video it won't be anywhere near as dog shit. So prepare your ears for not the greatest audio known to man. It isn't the worst, but you're just gonna have to deal with it for the video. At least I'm understandable. What's up? It's GL88 here, back with another video. As you can see, I have changed up the recording setup a bit, and I'm going back to my old-fashioned ways. I finally decided it's about time I up the production quality a little bit and go back to my older forms of content. Today, I'm going to be making another M17 related video. This one is going to be kind of interesting. This is going to be going over production differences of the original M17 throughout its production life. I have a few different examples here to show off with all the main differences, including a special mask here that is actually pretty fucking rare. So, yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that. So, getting into this, some of you may not know, actually, the M17 had quite a few differences in its production over the years. There were multiple changes to the accessories and even the face blank um, over a period of just a few years. So I have a decent few of the different designs of the face piece over the years, and I will show that off. So yeah, let's kind of get into it. So starting off, I'm going to go off with the earliest face piece that I have, and this is a 1961 dated DT face piece. This was a relatively recent acquisition of mine. This is rare as hell. It is dated the first week of April, right? Or is it May? January, February, March. Yeah, April. I think. Wait, January, February, March, April. No, May. It's dated the first week of May, 1961 by DT. As you can see, there's only 3 dots of production when this was produced. They only made it 2 weeks in April and 1 week in May, so it's dated May 1961 by DT. But there's quite a few differences in this mask. The first thing you may have noticed is like the bloom on the face piece is a lot different than even this early 1962 example made by MSA. Really, all the later M17s, they have it's almost like a different kind of like bloom on the rubber. It's a lot different. There isn't really a good way of explaining it unless you've seen a bunch of different M17s, but you can see on this mask just how bloomed it looks. It's almost like white, the face piece. Um, but that's not really a big enough of a thing for me to really say look for that when looking for an early M17, like a really early one like this. You're probably just going to find a 1962 example. But further looking on the face piece, you may have noticed this dot or this hole missing in the side of the face piece. This is not indicative of an early mask. This mask is actually an 80s training example of an M17, and that's why the hole's punched in there. It's to signify it's a training only mask. Um, a lot of these earlier ones will have the early style filter caps. Unfortunately, this one had the original filter caps removed and replaced with newer ones in the 80s. The original ones would have a pull tab on them. And the way that I know this one would have pull tabs is because if I pull the filter cap off and look in here, you can actually see that the face blank has no ridge. There's no ridge for the filter caps to snap onto. It's just smooth rubber. That little the skirt for the filter, it's just smooth rubber. There's no ridges on it. So if I were to take it off, this slightly earlier example by MSA, if I were to take the filter cap off and show you, hopefully you can see there that there is an extra ridge. And if you can't see this well, I'll put up a picture, but you can see that ridge right there, that little line. They added a rubber ridge there so that the filter cap would actually clamp over that ridge and not the filter connector. I can only assume they did that to make the filter caps come off easier. Not entirely sure. Maybe there was a different reason. I don't know why, but I know that that was changed in around mid 1961. It was right around June to July 1961 they changed that to the newer style. So that's another difference. Again, you won't really be able to tell that difference unless you can pull the face piece apart and see that, but that makes this an original M17 face blank. This is the original pattern of the face blank. It's identical to what the 1960 ones would be. So this is my earliest M17 that I own, and this one is definitely the rarest too, because it is the original design of face blank. So continuing on here, you'll notice the front here. This has had a new outlet valve and outlet valve cover put on the mask, although the original would look pretty much the same. One thing you will often see on these early masks is the outlet valve will be made of natural rubber, like gray natural rubber like the M9. You'll look at the outlet valve, and the outlet valve will be identical to one on the M9, so it'll be white rubber. This one was replaced. You can see the 1982 production stamp on it. The outlet valve cover itself is dated 1965, so it's had both the outlet valve cover and the outlet valve replaced in the 80s, which is kind of cool for how early this mask is. It's a little unfortunate it's not in its original configuration, but it also is pretty cool that it's a 80s converted mask, or refurbished mask. And again, if I have any like pictures, I will show you guys. So moving on here, once again, I'll see if I can get you a good picture of that face blank stamp. I just want to make sure you can see that well, because it's an interesting stamp. You can see the rubber blend is 2C9. That's the original DT rubber blend that they used from 1960 to, I believe, early 1962, if I recall correctly. Looking at the harness is different. This is an original C8 harness off of the M9. There isn't really any like perfect way of telling a C8 apart from a C8R1. It's more of like a in real life comparison. The C8 harness has like a much like thicker elastic on it, and also they don't have C8R1 stamped on them. It'll say nothing. There'll be no stamps on it. C8R1s will have C8R1 stamped on it. So yeah, the original M17s would have C8 harnesses just like the M9. This is a C8 harness, so that's another difference from the original M17s to the later ones. And peeling the harness over, I will show you differences on the interior of the mask, as there are even differences on the interior. So pulling the face form out here, you can see the interior of the mask. The biggest difference here is if you look at the nose cup valve discs, they are like that yellowish gum rubber. Well, I don't think they're gum rubber. It's probably just natural rubber, but you can tell it's like that yellowish color. Those valve discs are identical to the ones used in the M9. They are literally identical to the M9 nose cup valve discs, and that's because they are. The really early M17s used M9 valve cut or M9 nose cup valve discs, which I mean the actual like metal pieces for the valve discs are the exact same. The nose cup is actually very similar in design to the M9s. And early on, they were just using M9 style valve discs. See, that's another interesting thing. Otherwise, there really isn't much else going on with these. Some of the really early M17s can have white buttons on the interior. This one just has the regular black ones. So yeah, I'll put the face form back in. And I will show you guys some later M17s for comparison. So here we have an early 1962 M17. You can see the early style outserts. There's actually a pattern of outsert even earlier than this that is just rubber. There's no metal ring around it like this early style. It's just rubber with the plastic. So I don't have a pair, otherwise I'd show it. But you can see these anyways. Even these are hard to find, and then the earlier ones are even harder to find. But yeah, that's I guess it for that. You can see otherwise the face piece is relatively the same. Besides, they changed the skirt for the filters. They changed up the harness, of course. It's a C8R1 now. You can see the stamp right there. And I guess otherwise there isn't much else differences on the outside of the face blank. So I'll peel the harness over and show you the interior. So here you can see the interior of the face blank. As you can see, the nose cup valve discs are black, like the nose cup. That's a difference or a change they did right about then. It was right about mid 1961 as well that they started putting black nose cup valve discs in the face pieces. So that's another difference in the mask. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. And moving on to an even later M17 from 1964, you can see the later pattern outserts that were used all the way up through the 90s. You can see once again the black nose cup valve discs. C8R1 stamped harness again. Different lot number, different rubber formulation. You also may notice that the stamp is on this side of the mask. This is not a difference between production dates. It's simply a manufacturing error, actually. The other two M17s that I have right there, those two have a manufacturing error. The date stamp and whatever is actually supposed to be on the same side as the lot number, like this. Although on some M17s it'll be stamped on the opposite side. It's supposed to be this, like right here. Although sometimes it's right here, and it's really nothing more than a manufacturing error. It doesn't make the face piece worth any more money. It's just slightly more uncommon to see it, but it can be stamped on this side of the face piece as well, and that is simply all it is a manufacturing error. But yeah, there isn't much else to mention between these. Those are the biggest differences that one can really tell. I mean, there's other things too, like you may have noticed the finish between all three of these on the voice emitter is different. Like this is more of a matte finish. This has a little bit more of like a fancy finish to it, and then the early one has like a proper finish to it. But once again, I'm not gonna really show those as differences because they're not really big enough of a difference for really a normal person to even figure that out. I think I already showed off all the proper ones. I'll go over it one more time. The rubber skirt's different on the where the filter connector goes. It doesn't have a ridge on it. It's just flat rubber because originally this would have had pull tab filter caps. So of course, pull tab filter caps immediately an early mask, mid 1961 or older. Let's see what else. If you peel up the outlet valve cover and the outlet valve is white rubber like an M9, it's automatically an early mask from 1960 or 61. Nose cut valve discs are yellow like the M9, automatically a early mask from 61 or older. C8 harness, automatically an early mask from 61 or older. I wouldn't use this as an immediate way of being able to tell because there is a very small chance the harness could have been replaced with a C8, and there's also a chance that the C8 R1 stamp just wore off. But if you can just tell from these other things and you see this on top of it, you will know for sure it's an early mask. And of course, if you see white nose cup valve discs, then you immediately know it's an early mask. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be eventually making an Ultimate M17 video, and that will have all the shit you need to know in that video. But until then, I am just going to be making these shorter form M17 related videos. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It isn't every day I get to showcase a M17 this early. I hope you all liked it.